Good afternoon, Carolyn. Good afternoon, Adair. Hope you're both doing well. Here we are again. Hi, Adair. Hey, Carolyn. We'll give folks 30 seconds or so, a couple of minutes to sign on in, and we'll get going. Seeing some dollar strength today. A lot of that's just natural pullback from the recent Fed move, but also we've had some weak German IFO data we're going to be looking at. That's helped the dollar strength as well.
And according to the information, the US does lose appeal for Chinese AI researchers. That's according to the information. It does note the US AI sector is so crowded with Chinese researchers. There's some joke the global AI race is between two groups of Chinese, those in the US and in China. But inflation notes that joke may soon feel a bit stale as Chinese AI researchers increase returning home due to US visa restrictions.
Hey folks, let's get stuck into the session. So the key data that's popping out today is the German IFO data that we had come in earlier. Now, there's been a recent run of German IFO prints showing consecutive growth, a bit of confidence. Germany is very important for the Eurozone because Germany is the driving engine behind the Eurozone, and a weak Germany is bad news for the Eurozone as a whole. Look at these prints, current conditions, expectations coming below market's minimum expectations, and business climate towards the lower end of expectations and revisions lower. Now that's all been weighing on the euro. So taking a quick look at currencies, you can see the euro has been sort of heavily weighed on that data towards the lower end of the spectrum, the dollar up at the strong end. So that for me was reason enough to close my euro dollar longs, which I was trying to hold into the PCE print on Friday. So you can see here, I closed that out, where was it? Closed at about 67. So I was about there when I closed out that trade earlier this morning. So I'm out of that, and I'm just closing that bias to the euro dollar for now, because if you take a look at the yield spread, yes, it's pushing up. What I don't like about this is look on the weekly chart. See, that's a big, strong rejection. So yes, I've got this decent support level and I would expect dip buys, but I want to see some price action moving in the right direction. Okay, I don't want to be buying into this dip. I want to see something sort of definitely strong off that level. So that's the first thing to be aware of in terms of the data. Weak German data weighing on sentiment. And then it's very light for the rest of the session. We've got a 5-year note option at 6. The EIA data, crude took a little pop earlier in the session on the news that Israel was making steps into annexing Gaza, and that just gave oil another pop higher. Other than that, we've got the EIA data, crude stocks expected to come in at 0.23 build in the inventory. Private data was a $3 million barrel draw last night. So the next thing is daily speaking at 9:10. So very light. And then just looking ahead to help sort of govern our dollar reaction. The next major print, we've got the initial jobless claims coming at 1:30 tomorrow. So jobless claims, that can be important. And that's probably the next likely catalyst for the dollar ahead of the PCE on Friday. And you've got daily speaking at 8:30 as well. So a couple of days with relatively light data. No, jobless claims is probably the best data that we've got. The other sort of strong mover overnight was the Aussie CPI inflation. Look up towards the top end of the RBA's target at 3%. That has been helping the Australian dollar, and it's just given the Aussie dollar a little bit of a boost. You can see here it's nice and strong. So with the yen, the weakest intraday Aussie yen upside makes sense. For anyone wanting to do that. Aside from that, the other trades I've got on, I'll just run through them and then we'll start looking at the futures market. United Health, nice little move here. Do you see the way that bullish engulfing bar from that support level? Very nice here. Bullish engulfing bar. I took an intraday long on that, as well as the sort of a more established position targeting up at that 420. Still targeting the 420 on that. Intraday's a bit of leverage on it, so I just took profit quickly. And tomorrow, if we can break out of that 360, 370 region, then you sort of potentially moving up and we can start trailing stops on United Health Group. The Oracle trade, I've got my stops at break even. Got this sort of move up, and then got this break even. So I'm just sort of around the 300, 301 region. That's where I'm looking at potentially getting out if the price comes back against me. Just because, again, if you look on the weekly chart, you can see this kind of explosive price movement and very vulnerable to a retracement. But again, if I saw like a great price action signal on this, on another dip down, I'd be happy to buy in this sort of huge gap area. But for now, just stops at break even on Oracle, and Euro Pound still looking for opportunities to buy any dips in on the Euro Pound based. Bank of England Bailey's just been out saying still further room to cut rates. The extent depends on the path of inflation. So that's what I'm looking at. Just neutral on the dollar now. If you look at this recent dollar gains, and I've closed those initial dollar yen shorts as price started breaking out of that trend line. So leave that. And again, just going to see with this how far this dollar retracement carries on. You can see the dollar's trying to push up, and technically you can see it's trying to push back into this area. You know, is that a nice head and shoulders pattern that's potentially forming? If you just take a look here, could be a near-term reversal. Right, shoulder break of that level, then potentially got to move back up here. So just holding fire on that. PCE will be important on Friday, may get another opportunity. The dollar yen is still weak on this Japanese LDP voting that's going on for an election that's coming up. And there's the outside chance that if the favorite wins, that the yen is weakened as quantitative easing and asset purchasing is reinstated essentially. So that's why we're seeing a bit of dollar yen upside as well on that. So that can help Aussie yen upside intraday. Aside from that, silver, gold continuing higher, continue higher. I've still got my copper longs, by the way, they're still in play. And the bond space, again, you can see a little bit of a sell-off in bonds, sell-off in German bonds, and the yields just pushing higher across the board in the bond space. Particular driver, it's all just a little bit light out there. The equity space, seeing a little bit of positive sentiment here, but we're sort of flat to sideways in the absence of any clear driver. So for us, what that means, it does mean that we're going to be kind of led on the order flow in the futures market. We had that heavy selling that came in yesterday. Topping action moved out. I don't know if anyone managed to get into any of that. I got some of it just before I left for the day. So as we started to break out that level into those single prints, and that jam, I just took some shorts down into that and then just out as that moved. Now, looking at this on the 15-minute chart, you can see we're up at this value area high. On the daily chart, delta is flat to negative. On the daily chart, 15-minute chart, you can see we're up at this value area, right? And we're just rejecting and bouncing into that area. Delta negative to flat on the day. We're lacking sort of clear direction. Want to see something clear, either a clear breakout of this level to the upside and then on our way to 6,740, or breaking down and moving back down to 6,710. Now, looking at the time price opportunity, you can see that we're trying to hold above that value area high and that pivot point. So we're in a crucial area, and we've gone back into a previous day's balance. So we're in balance from the previous day, but we're now holding in balance for the Globex Open. On the 15-minute chart, you can see that we're staying within the previous day's balance. So the market remains balanced. So we're looking really to fade from extremes, fading from here, potentially down to this extreme, fading from that extreme, or breaking above and looking to move 6,740. So we're going to be very much dependent on what's going on with the order flow today. There isn't a whole lot going on. Really, the key thing to be aware of is the next inflection point, really, for the dollar comes on Friday. And what you want to look for here is if this PCE comes in much lower than markets are expecting, that means that interest rates can be cut more quickly, dollar weakness, equity market upside, S&P 500, NASDAQ all should gain if we get this much weaker than markets are expecting. So that's the key thing to be looking out for as we head in towards the end of the week. Initial jobless claims can give us another opportunity tomorrow. Aside from that, it's just that waiting game that we're really looking at. And for me, I was trying to go long euro dollar into the PCE, but the German IFO data coming in as weak as it has, it just increases the expectations that all is not well in Europe, and that's just giving the dollar a little bit of extra strength in today's session, and it will wait for the PCE print to get its next key kind of inflection point. So that's it, folks. That's what I'm looking for, and now it's just waiting for the open and to see where we get as we come into the open. Sellers are here and here. Let's see if any again get trapped on the 14 seconds. So we've got a 50-minute open. Those buyers have trapped those sellers. Let's just see if we get anything off the VWAP. That's what I'm looking for. Looking for anything off the VWAP. See if we move down here, see sellers get trapped. I'll try a long if we do see that. The rationale is that, okay, 5-minute buyers have come in and trapped those. 15-minute buyers have come in and trapped those sellers. 5-minute buyers have trapped those sellers. So a test of the VWAP, then I'll try a speculative long if I see some sellers trapped against the VWAP here. Okay. So here we are, the VWAP. Let's see if we've had heavy selling into here. Let's see if buyers come in here or not. Trying to go down that daily pivot point value area. Okay, let's see it. Buyers coming in. Right, I bought in there. Just using the micros, so I want to see how price develops from there. Got some buyers have come in and trapped those sellers. Quite heavy selling. Buyers coming in, trapping them. Let's see if that can become a launch point for higher prices. It may not be, in which case I'm just happy to see how things go. Just keep my stop very tight on this and see where it goes. If it doesn't hold, I've just got my stop the other side of this area. Point of control moving here. The point of control just moving there. A few more sellers coming in. Let's see. Testing the VWAP again. Well, I'm out of that long because that's just clearly heading in the wrong direction. So let's see if there's another way. So there's a 5-minute close looking like closing up here and looking like trapping these buyers up here. So let's have a look. So the delta is negative. You can see here on the 5-minute, you've got these sellers now trapping these buyers here. Now there was a fair value gap that we've just fallen into from here, see from there to there. So a little bit of support being found, but still sellers trapping the buyers, going back above here. So sellers have trapped those buyers to get back under. Then, right, so I'm going to try a sell there with sellers trapping buyers there.
And just on the EMFX footing, a bit more from Brazil. Alckmin does note they have no information on a date for Brazil-US meeting after Lula and Trump met with the UN.
Can have got sellers have come in and they've trapped buyers there. So we've hit the point of control, sellers there. So I think I'm just going to give it a little bit longer. Delta is negative. We've had a little bit of a pullback here now. Got a 5-minute close underneath the standard deviation.
I'm just making aware of some comments from Ukraine President Zelensky speaking at the UN. Does note Russian President Putin wants to continue this war by expanding it.
There we go. Sellers down there. We could get underneath those buyers if we could.
A bit further from Zelensky. Does note stopping Russia and Putin now is less expensive than protecting facilities.
Point of control's now moved there. Let's see how that. Okay, I'm still short this.
A bit further from Zelensky, he did say he had a good meeting with Trump on Tuesday.
Right, now I will exit this if I don't get under him pretty soon. On balance, I'm still pointing lower.
Bit of note for Brazilian Real watchers.
Get 'em out.
Brazil Central Bank does sell $2 billion in dollar auctions with repurchase agreement.
Now we'll consider re-entering if it can get back up here. Got a 15 close coming up. Can pull up into the VWAP and then sell again.